I was 12 years old when my mother left me in Chicago's Union Station and drove away laughing. Not because she forgot me. Not because we got separated. She left me there on purpose. And before the car disappeared into traffic, she rolled down the window and shouted something I'll never forget. "I bet $50 you can't even find your way home." Then she laughed, my father laughed too, and just like that, I was alone, no phone, no map, $9 in my pocket, and no idea how to get home. What happened next destroyed the family I was born into. But it also led me to the family that saved my life, and 20 years later, when the people who abandoned me came begging for help, I gave them an answer they never saw coming. My name is Sophia Bennett. I'm 32 years old now. I live in Denver, Colorado. I own a graphic design studio. I'm married. I have a rescue dog named Max, and until recently, I hadn't spoken to my biological parents in 2 decades. Then one morning I woke up to 29 missed calls from Illinois. 29. Before I even listened to the voicemail, I knew exactly who it had to be. Because some memories never really die, they wait, quietly, patiently, until one ordinary day brings them back to life. And suddenly you're standing in the same place all over again. For me, that place was Union Station. The day everything changed. Growing up in Willow Creek, Illinois, my family looked perfect from the outside. My parents owned a successful chain of home goods stores. We had a nice house, a clean lawn, church on Sundays, backyard barbecues, the kind of family people admired. But inside our home, things were different. My mother loved one word more than any other: lessons. Everything was a lesson. If I cried, I needed a lesson. If I made a mistake, I needed a lesson. If I asked for help, I needed a lesson. The lessons always looked suspiciously like humiliation. When I was 8 years old, I asked for new sneakers because mine were falling apart. My mother sat me on a bench at the mall and left me there for almost 3 hours. When they came back, my father laughed. He told my mother he owed her $20 because he thought I would wander off before then. When I was 10, some boys mocked me after a football game. I cried in the car. My parents drove to the far end of the parking lot, told me to get out, and left. After sunset, they came back nearly an hour later. My father seemed disappointed. He'd apparently bet that I would try to hitchhike home. That was my childhood. Everything was a game. Everything was a test. Everything was a bet. And somehow they convinced themselves it was good parenting. Then came the report card. I got a B+ in art, the one subject I actually loved, the one thing that made me happy. My mother treated it like a crime. That night I heard my parents talking in the kitchen. I couldn't hear every word, but I heard enough. My mother said I needed a lesson I'd never forget. My father said he'd bet money on that. The next morning they acted strangely cheerful. Pancakes, orange juice, smiles. They announced we were taking a family trip to Chicago. For one stupid moment I thought maybe things were getting better. I should have known better. Union Station was overwhelming. Crowds everywhere. Announcements echoing through the building. People rushing in every direction. My mother pointed to a large pillar near the entrance. "Stay here," she said. "We'll be back in 15 minutes. I asked if I could come. My father laughed loudly enough for strangers to hear. "You're 12, not 2. Then they walked away. Then I worried. Then I panicked. 15 minutes became 30. 30 became 60. An hour became 2. I kept staring at the giant station clock, watching people come and go, watching families leave together, watching nobody come back for me. Then I saw our car outside. Relief hit me so hard it almost knocked me over. I ran toward the window, waving, smiling, certain they'd come back. Instead, my mother leaned out the window and delivered the line that would stay with me forever. "I bet $50 you can't even find your way home." Then they drove away laughing. In that moment, something inside me broke. Not because they left. Because they enjoyed it. My fear wasn't an accident. It wasn't collateral damage, it was the point. I spent nearly 3 more hours wandering the station, too scared to leave, too ashamed to ask for help, too conditioned to trust anyone. The person who finally saved me was a station employee named Maria. She noticed I'd been wandering in circles. She asked if I was okay. I lied. I said I was waiting for my parents. Then she asked one simple question: "Have you eaten today?" And I completely fell apart. I told her everything. Maria listened, really listened. Then she said words I'd never heard from an adult before. "You are safe, and I'm going to help you." Security reviewed camera footage. Transit got involved. Officers contacted my parents. And that's when I heard the sentence that changed my life. One officer looked furious. He listened to my mother's excuses for a few seconds before saying, "Leaving a 12-year-old child alone in a major transit station is not a lesson in independence. It's child abandonment." Nobody had ever called it what it was before. That night I didn't go home. A social worker placed me with a foster family, Mark and Laura Bennett. I expected another performance, another fake family, another disappointment. Instead, I found something I'd never experienced before: safety. Laura asked what I wanted for dinner. Mark asked if I preferred the hallway light on or off when I slept. Nobody mocked me, nobody tested me, nobody laughed when I cried. The court process uncovered years of abuse. Therapists documented emotional neglect, humiliation, endangerment, patterns that stretched back for years. My parents didn't deny any of it. That's what shocked everyone. They admitted it. They just insisted it was necessary. Character building, resilience training, real-world preparation. The judge wasn't impressed. Eventually, my parents were given a choice: complete a long reunification program, or surrender their parental rights. They chose surrender. Just like that. Rather than admit they were wrong, they gave me away. The Bennetts adopted me. And for the first time in my life, I belonged somewhere. I changed my name. Jennifer Caldwell became Sophia Bennett. A new family, a new future, a new life. Mark encouraged my art. Laura taught me patience. Neither of them demanded gratitude. They simply stayed year after year, steady, reliable, safe. I went to college, studied graphic design, built a career, moved to Denver, started my own business, got married, built a life I loved, and for 20 years, I never looked back. Then came the 29 missed calls. The voicemail wasn't from my parents. It was from my younger sister, Hannah. I hadn't spoken to her in years. Her voice sounded older, tired. She told me our mother had advanced cancer. Our father had suffered a stroke. The business was gone. The stores were closed. The family reputation had collapsed. Apparently, the truth about what happened to me finally became public. Old court records surfaced. Former employees started talking. Neighbors learned the truth. And the carefully crafted image my parents had spent decades protecting finally crumbled. Now they were alone. And they wanted me back. Not because they'd changed, because they needed something. I asked Hannah why she was calling. She told me she'd recently read the court records herself. For the first time, she'd become a mother. And after reading what happened, she cut contact too. She said looking at her own child made her realize something. She could never allow people like our parents near him. Then she asked if I would come. I thought about it all night. By morning I had my answer. I wasn't going back to save them. I was going back to finish the story. 2 days later I walked into a hospital room in Illinois. My father looked smaller than I remembered. My mother looked older. For a moment nobody spoke. Then my mother started crying. She used my old name. I corrected her. Sophia! She nodded. My father cleared his throat and said they'd made mistakes. Mistakes. That word hit me harder than I expected. I looked directly at him. A mistake is missing an exit. A mistake is forgetting milk. What you did was deliberate. The room went silent. I told them exactly what they'd done. They abandoned a child, turned her fear into entertainment, laughed while she panicked, then lied about it for 20 years. My mother asked if I could forgive them. I thought about that. Then I said the sentence I'd been carrying since I was 12. You bet on whether I could find my way home. I did. I just didn't come back to yours. Neither of them had an answer. My father finally asked if this was really goodbye. I looked at him calmly. It's been goodbye for 20 years. You're just the last people to understand that. Then I stood up, walked out, and never looked back. The funny thing is, I thought that moment would feel dramatic, victorious, maybe even satisfying. It didn't. It felt peaceful. Because revenge wasn't what I wanted. Freedom was. The little girl standing alone in Union Station believed being abandoned meant she wasn't worth loving. She was wrong. She wasn't unwanted. She was simply born to the wrong people. The family that saved me wasn't connected by blood. They were connected by kindness, by consistency, by love. And in the end, that's what family really is. Not the people who give you life. The people who show up when life gets hard. The people who protect you. The people who stay. My parents spent years trying to teach me that the world was cruel. Instead, they accidentally taught me something far more important. I could survive without them. I could build a better life than they ever imagined. And I could find my way home. Just not the one they expected.